actually.
Here.
We here.
Little vibes.
Facts. My
Alright.
son, Ariel, Sinatra Fitness.
And my boy, DG Bryant. If y'all didn't know, the DG stands for Dropping Gems. We about to be doing a lot of that right now.
Facts.
So, boom. This is episode 1, podcast. And the topic is podcast. So, here we go. My boy. Can I ask you the question? Can I ask the first one?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
All right. So, well, we both gonna answer this, but let me ask him. What made you want to do this podcast? What made you want to do podcasts in general? Like,
What made me want to do a podcast is basically who I am as a person. I've always been known as the preacher, always dropping gems, always talking my shit and trying to inspire others. So personally, I was on the type of time where I was kind of like trying to force my mindset onto people, in the sense of like I was always trying to get them to see the things in the limelight, and always trying to get them to see positive. And it just got to a point where certain people started pointing it out that I can't really force that onto other people. So it brought me back. How can I still say what I want to say and make people see it in the right light without forcing on the mindset? And it just came to like, why not do it through a podcast? Because now I'm not basically forcing it onto you, but I'm exposing you to the information. And I feel like that's all you need to do in order to make someone make a difference.
I like that a lot.
You could give your own perspective on what makes you want to do this as well.
So it's similar to yours. And I like that. I feel like, did you have that ready or something?
Nah.
that was mad quick. But no, I think personally for me, what made me want to do podcasts is really just wanting to bring my community up. I want to see people around me, and it's not just the people around me, but I want people to look at my content and look at what I put out, and I wanted to give them a sense of hope. I want them to know that they can relate to issues, and I want to share all of my issues and my bad news and all these experiences, and I want to share new knowledge that's always coming out. And yeah, that's really, really, really what I want to do, because when you share knowledge and spread it with those around you, that's how you uplift your community, and that's how you get your community, to wake up and to realize what's going on and to better make a change. So I'm here for it. I'm here trying to make a change for my community, the world, and everything. I'm trying to make a difference. So that's my reason behind making a podcast. And
bringing it all together, not to cut you off, but like both of our reasons are like is beautiful inside of itself. So I feel like the fact that you feel like that and the way I feel, and bringing it together to the people.
That's why we working together.
Yeah,
because we got this purpose we sharing, and we need to accomplish it.
Exactly. You feel
Facts.
me?
But so now let me ask you So what makes a good podcast in your opinion?
Honestly, in my opinion, what makes a good podcast?
Wait, let me ask you this. What makes a bad podcast? There we go. I feel like that's a better question.
What makes a bad...
What makes a bad podcast?
What makes a bad podcast for me is basically something that doesn't instill a difference, or something that doesn't have an impact on anybody. So that's my way of saying that's about a bad podcast.
So a podcast with no impact or doesn't touch people?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think makes about a bad podcast?
Me personally, a bad podcast is one that doesn't add value to anyone's life. If you're not,
and it goes back to what I'm saying. Like, it has no type
for sure.
of impact.
Yeah, it's hand in hand. So if you're not bringing any value to me, and that could be anything, literally any value. If I'm not laughing from your podcast, if it's not giving me enjoyment, if it's not teaching me anything, if it's not giving me insight, not helping me for myself, if it's not something I can relate to, then to me that's a bad podcast.
Word,
and I'm not speaking just on me, but if you make things, let me see, what's an example?
I would just say it's like the routine of things that people do. You feel me? Like if you're watching something and it's making you feel like it's the way you live your life, and the way of always having the same routine every day, why does that drive me to watch your podcast if it's basically just like everything else I'm doing? You feel me?
I mean, some people, not everybody lives like you, so I think...
No, that's a fact, but what I'm saying is, like, if a person has a routine they're doing throughout their day, was the material that you're giving them or what you're exposing them to, what is making it different from everything else that they're doing?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So
like, what's making them stand out?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, what is making them drive them to your podcast?
All right, so you know what? Let me answer the... So basically, let me give you what I think a good podcast is.
Yeah.
And that's basically something that moves people. If you make someone feel an emotion through your podcast, if you make them feel multiple emotions through a podcast, I think you did an amazing job. I think if you get somebody to be furious at your podcast, you still did a great job because they're involved and they listen to you and you made them feel something.
Exactly.
So if I think that definitely anything that moves you, like a podcast that moves you and makes you feel emotions, I think that makes a great podcast. And that's actually what I'm aiming for with these podcasts and what I would hope to do in the future.
I completely agree. I'm 100% on board with you on that.
Thank you. Anything you want to add, or you think we good on that?
I feel like we good on that.
Alright, so now I'm gonna mention some names. These are people that I look up to, and I like how they go about their podcast. And like I said, the reasons why I mentioned what makes a good and bad podcast, these people do it for sure, and they do a great job at it. So the two people that we have is Joe Rogan. I love his podcast show because he's always sharing experiences, and he's always, it's not always him sharing the experience. He's always inviting people that go through things that he never necessarily went through but wants to study and learn about. And so I think that's amazing. And just getting people to share knowledge, different people from different fields with different experiences every show, that's amazing because we're always learning something new. So that's why I like Joe Rogan's podcast.
I feel like someone that we definitely will have in common is Gary Vee. And the reason...
I love Gary Vee.
Yeah, I love him too.
Shout out to you.
Facts.
I'm going to shake your hand one day, bro. I told you. He knows. I messaged him. I'm going to shake his hand. Watch.
That's a fact, bro.
That's all I need to do. I don't even... I want to sit down, just me and him, shake his hand, that's it, and tell him, I'll see you later in life when I'm succeeding. And that's it. But go ahead. Go back to the topic. Go back to the topic.
Nah, I felt that, though. That's the energy I fuck with. But basically, the reason why I like listening to him is because I see a lot of myself in him. I've always been a blunt person, and I love the fact that through his podcast and everything that he does in general, he's not sugarcoating shit. He's just giving the raw material to people. When they telling him, yo, Gary Vee, why am I not succeeding in my field? This is what I'm doing. Like, he'll simply be like, so stop doing it, like, and don't give a fuck. Like,
no, yeah, I love him.
You feel me? So it's like he's not really accommodating what he has to say to people's feelings.
Right.
You feel me? He's just like, yo, this is what I see, this is what I hear, this is how you can work on it, and this is how you take ownership and accountability for your own shit. And if you don't do this, then you ain't really gonna improve.
Right. He tells you the keys straight up.
Yeah,
and he tells you this is what you've been doing for 3 years and it's not working. Well, then change it. Stop doing that.
Exactly.
And it's that simple sometimes. But he just has the guts and he knows how to tell people that in a way that, well, it still does hurt people's feelings, but he tells you it regardless. Sometimes we need to hear that.
It still hurts people, but I feel like that's the beauty inside of itself, because it's that's what drives you to want to do even better. When people be like, yo, I don't see you doing that, or like, yo, you ain't shit, like, you feel me, or like, yo, I just produced a song, or
and
like,
that
I
comes
just
back
recorded
to,
a song.
Even if my podcast makes you angry, if it makes you feel something, if it moved you, I'm happy, because angry could lead to success. Angry people get shit done. So, whatever I make you feel, I'm glad I made you feel that. And just to add one thing, I would really love to try to imitate Gary Vee's, not his blueprint, but I want to go by what he stands and what he says, which is when you're delivering content, it should be trying to bring value to the people.
Exactly.
Not let me think of a cool way to make this this content look, or how to sell something to you. Fuck selling something. Gary Vee has brought me so much good in my life without selling me a damn thing.
And this is what I'm saying. Like, this is the reason why I decided to do this podcast, because I'm not selling an image. I'm everything I'm speaking on is raw material that is coming from me, and it's coming from the experiences that I made through me interacting with people and just the situations that I've gone through in my life. And me talking about it and me having the knowledge that I have, I want to bring that to the world. And I potentially hope to help all these people that are either lost or don't know how to go through the situations that they're going through, and is it a situation that I've been through before. So I definitely hope to inspire people through this podcast.
That's amazing. That's why we gonna make a change, bro.
Facts, bro.
It's lit. All right. So shout out to Joe Rogan and Gary Vee.
Word.
Two great people that I like to watch podcasts. But let's get it going. So now that we got through that and we talked about what makes a good one, who we like, let me ask you this: what's 4 keys? Yeah, 4 keys that you think makes a successful podcast. And we already stated one, so go ahead. You could say, do you want me to share this?
I want to start off by sharing on the first key. The first key, it kind of goes back to what we were kind of saying, like feeling emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the key I'm about to share kind of connects them both. And it's about having the right people on your podcast.
Okay.
The right people, you feel me? If I'm serious about my craft, I can't bring someone into my craft that's gonna be joking about it. You feel me? If my point is to interview you and have a serious conversation that I think that can help people, I can't have you here like just laughing or like doing things that are not gonna help me build the image that I'm trying to get people to perceive. And it's not even about the perception, it's about the actual craft of helping people.
Yeah.
You feel me?
You know what it is? I think they need to share, not the exact same goals as you, but they need to share that purpose of like, I want to come here to Brian and Ariel's podcast show so that I can share my experience and hopefully help somebody that's going through the same thing. And if, that's the mindset I want people having. The people that want to come, because I have people, we have people that want to come do the podcast with us already. But we're not going to just let anyone come up here and talk. You need to be someone with a purpose, a cause, something or an experience you want to share. So that was a great point. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So most definitely, I feel like the right people is definitely top one of the keys that you need to make a good podcast.
Right people, that was great.
Go ahead. You can speak on the next point that you think.
The next point, along with right people, it would have to be. I think the topic of the podcast matters a lot. Mm-hmm. Even though topics are subjective and people can say, well, I like this topic, and people can say I don't like this topic, I think the way you go about it and how you speak on the topic is very essential to creating a successful podcast.
Topic?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I definitely think that's an important key, but also is being diverse to all topics and not being subjective just to one topic. You feel me?
For sure. But I think we should stand for something, or you should stand for something.
Yeah, most definitely. But what I'm saying is like certain people, they start talking about one thing and like for me, it's important to have something to stand for. Most definitely. But what I'm saying is you got to be open to other people telling you, maybe I think you should do this, you should speak on this topic because it's relevant.
For sure. I would love to do something like that.
So yeah, definitely. And even if it's something far out of your comfort zone, like just getting the knowledge to be like, yo, you know what, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. You feel me? But just because it's out of your comfort zone, not shooting it down. So definitely, yeah, I agree with you with the right topics.
So let me give you an exact example real quick. I want to move on, but let me give you an example because we're talking about making a difference and a purpose. Now, let's say we do a podcast tomorrow on a Spider-Man game, like a PS4 Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
So you see where I'm going with this? Does that fall under the line of like, it's subjective because some people might like the game and might want to talk about it, but I think being that what we spoke on and what our purposes are, that would be a wrong topic or a bad topic to speak on. Just based on our mission statement on what we want to do with this.
Not yet, for sure, but I feel like because of what I stand for and what you also stand for as a person, and the mentality that we have, I feel like there's always ways to connect things that seem so far out back to the purpose that we're talking about. And let me tap a little more into that.
So, I think I get where you're going.
So, like, through cartoons growing up, or, like, just through video games, there's certain things that you have to do, whether it's a video game or whether it's the cartoon. You feel me? There's these great life lessons, you feel me? And through that, we connect it back to our podcast and, like,
so do you think, I think, you know what, because I kind of agree with you. I feel like we can pick any topic and kind of
bring it back
to a way,
purpose,
to the purpose, right? To our mission statement. So let me ask you this: are there any wrong topics? Is there anything that's wrong to talk about on the podcast, or is it really all free? Can we just express ourselves here? Because I personally think there are wrong and right topics. Like, I think if you give me a topic to talk about on a future podcast and it sounds ridiculous, I would deny you. Like, no, I don't want to talk about this.
Most definitely, but how I said, there's always gotta be that diversity of being open to new ideas. You feel me? Because we could see it as like, yo, that's not even important to me. But what if it's not important to us, but it's important to 50,000 people? You feel me? And like, just because we never even tapped into that type of crowd, like, we're just like, nah, I don't really care about that. Like, that doesn't explain who I am and what I'm fighting for. But how I said, here, we're free to express ourselves and what we want to talk about. We select what we want to talk about and what we think should be spoken about. You feel me? But at the end of the day,
alright,
is about what we see right and what we see fight as what we see fit for us. You feel me? And that in a way that is not only gonna connect us, but also connect the people to understand where we're coming from.
For sure, I like that. I like that answer. I'm glad you didn't agree with me.
Yeah.
And you know what? Bringing me to what I think is another key to succeed in making podcasts. I think you need to be true to who you are. I think who you are off camera and on camera matters a lot.
Almost definitely.
So if you're not portraying who you are in real life outside of these podcasts, I think you're gonna have trouble succeeding because the people that know you won't hear what you're saying and basically they won't perceive you as that person. They're gonna look at the video and say, what? He does not even do this. He's preaching something that he doesn't live by. You know? And so I think you need to live that brand of what you speak on. I think you need to stay true to yourself.
And I definitely do. You feel me? Like, everyone that knows me that always knows I'm always preaching to everybody. I'm always dropping the gems. You feel me? This is always me. Like, and I'm passionate talking about it. I love helping people. I always try to push people as much as I can.
This guy too.
That's a fact, bro, and that's why I love where we coming from, because we always showing love to everyone despite what craft they supporting. You feel me? So it's like, I just love showing genuine love and just to touch on what you said, like being true to yourself on and off the camera. Not even just for that, just any craft that you tapping into in life. As long as you true to self, no one can tell you that you're not good for it. No one can tell you that's not for you, and no one can take that light and that drive out of you. So you basically gotta see it as like, yo, I'm shining, but if certain people feel like this is not fit for me, I'ma shine even brighter. You feel me? Like, use that as the fuel to keep you going. To be like, you think this is not me? I'ma show you the exact same reason why this is me. You feel me? So that's what I'm talking about.
And to add one more thing, being true to yourself on camera, I think goes back to our second key, which is picking right topics.
Yeah.
Because when you're true to yourself, you're gonna pick topics that you can relate to.
For fact.
So if you're picking topics where it's just relevant, like for example, what's relevant at the moment is this Popeye's chicken sandwich. I think, well, you can't talk about it because it creates controversy in the world, and someone actually died over the sandwich. But
which is unfortunately, like, over a sandwich, like.
Yeah, no, we could talk about that another day, though.
Yeah.
But damn, that's sad. That sucks. But
but I get what you're getting now.
But yeah, being true to yourself, picking topics that you on a daily think about, things that trouble you, experiences that you went through, experiences that you're interested in, something that you want to do. I think those are the right topics that have to do with you and your your life. So, because you can't, like, again, you can't teach someone or impact someone on something you're not informed about.
For a fact.
So I think the right topics does come from within you, and not definitely being open to what you said, like being open to what other people say and studying it, but you need to be informed on what you're gonna speak on.
Oh no, yeah, I completely agree, and I'm full on board with that.
So I think those two go hand to hand.
So I just wanna to make them understand where we coming from. I wanna use a personal experience like of us. A small example. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but being part of the system as a minority. You feel me? Like dealing with minority struggles. You feel me? We could relate to that because we've been in those situations.
Yeah, I talk about that for hours.
Exactly. So later on, we'll probably do a podcast about that, but it's just to give you a brief idea about what we meant through that point. So, yeah, most definitely.
That was 1, 2. That was 3. So we need 3. One more key.
The last one I would say would be being passionate. Being passionate.
What do you mean by that?
Being passionate about what you talk, about what you do, and just into the craft itself. Like in every way that you're making the plan, the process, understanding there's gonna be setbacks. You feel me? As long as you have this passion, as long as you have the drive, that's what has to keep you going.
Right.
So
that's so important, bro. Oh my God. And that's so important, and I think, like, because you can be passionate about something, but I think what drives you defines you.
That's a fact.
So, what's driving us, like we said, our purpose is to impact people, touch people. I know that if we just touch about 1 person, 2 people, that would probably make the rest of our day bright, just because we know, oh my God, they watched our podcast and now they're inspired to make some, and now they want to go about it the way that we've been teaching them, and like that would be amazing, So go ahead.
And as long as what I tell people, cause certain people, whatever craft you got going on, a lot of people like to see the end progress. You feel me? And people only support you when they see the end progress. They don't support you throughout the process. You feel me? So at the end of the day, as long as you impact one soul at a time every day, that's all that matters. As long as you put in the information out there to let someone else that the situation they going through, they're not alone in it, you're already touching a soul. And by us putting this podcast out there, that's exactly what we doing. So if I have a DM of someone telling me like, yo, I don't even know you, but I watched your podcast, and like I really needed to hear this, and I'm grateful that you put this out there.
And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Exactly.
I would love to hear that. If you feel any kind of emotion, if something made you feel good or bad, I would just love to hear about it. I would love to know that I impacted somebody, even if it was in a way that it was unexpected, even if it inspired you in some other way totally different from what I was portraying. I'm just glad I got to touch you in general, because I'm just a kid from the Bronx. So if you somewhere outside of New York and I get to reach you, to me that feels amazing. Now going back to being passionate, people might be in it for the wrong reasons. Like, oh, I see Gary Vee doing podcasts and he's getting millions of followers. That's what I want, so that I can sell something to those millions of followers. And don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. It's not. You can totally want to be a businessman and want to sell millions of dollars. That's all great, and it doesn't make you bad. But when it comes to intention and purpose and being passionate about something, if you don't see those results, if you don't start seeing money, you're going to start questioning, or views and likes, you're going to start questioning your product and your content and what you're putting out. And that's something that I don't ever want to question. And I don't really care for views and likes. And well, I do, because I want to touch as much people as possible, but I'm not more so worried about, oh my God, I didn't reach 1,000 today, or I didn't reach 100 likes.
Which brings me back to a relevant situation going on now, which is like a lot of people on the fence. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but a lot of people on the fence, the fact that they took the likes off IG, like the IGs.
Oh yeah, I mean, it didn't happen yet.
Nah, it hasn't happened yet, but it's in the process, like between this week and next week.
Wow.
But
wait, before we move on, how do you feel about that? Because I never got to hear you talk about this.
I feel great about it.
You like it?
I actually feel great about it, because now it's like people are genuinely like, they can't see, they're not just liking the pictures because you have 300, 500 likes, you feel me? Now it's only you knowing who likes your pictures, you feel me? And it's like, it's showing genuine love. And although they're not seeing, like, now they can't see if you're making progress. Now they just basically have to really tap into you and actually actually get to know you and get to know your content and be like, yo, let me see if Ariel at Sinatra Fitness is actually making progress. Like, let me go to his page, or like, let me like tap into the people that he's tagging.
That's interesting. Do you think that would lead to a point in life where we're not being defined by our likes and views anymore?
That's a fact. I definitely felt like that's step one. And although like a lot of artists, celebrities, just they portraying it as like, yo, damn, like I hate it because it's just like this is how I came up. Like it came up through me getting this clout and all this other shit. Like at the end of the day, the bigger purpose is more beautiful than anything else. So to me, I'm actually not mad about it. You feel me? And because that not only teaches you to step outside of that one platform of Instagram, but now how you gonna display your content so people can see it a lot.
You know, I never gave it a lot of thought, but now that I'm hearing you talk about it, I like it a lot. I think it's gonna help take us a step back and stop judging ourselves so badly and putting so much pressure on ourselves to be like a person that's kind of looks like us, that are getting 10,000 to 100,000 views compared to us where it's like 20 likes, 15 likes.
Exactly.
So I think that's definitely gonna erase a lot of that self-doubt.
Exactly.
I like the direction.
And it goes back to like people taking extra measurements and steps to like having to do crazy shit for these likes. You feel me? Now it brings them back to like, yo, can no one see my likes?
Right. Now you need to bring value to people.
Exactly.
Now,
How you gonna portray that through whatever video or photo that you dropping on Instagram now? You feel me? Like it's the genuine content now. You feel me? Whether you, like, yo, that shit is beautiful.
But let's get
back on track.
Yeah, we got a little off topic, but we was talking about being passionate in your craft and why is that a key? So, yeah.
I feel like we briefly explained all of that in the last 6 minutes.
Yeah, you definitely right.
So, yeah, just be true to yourself, be passionate, you feel me, and tap into it.
For sure. Yo, follow me on Instagram, Sinatra Fitness. It's going to be below. And that's Sinatra_fitness. Follow my boy.
Facts, it's gonna be DG Kilo. You feel me?
DG Kilo, and y'all already know the vibes. Next time we're gonna bring another podcast that's gonna bring you more value. Hopefully something you could relate to, and hopefully you make a difference with it. If you've come across this podcast and it helped you, share it. Spread the word. However you want to go about it.
Alright, we're gonna have our G right below. Alright, you heard?